Foreclosure by number of bedrooms. It's the lower middle class, 3 bedrooms. Not studios, not 1 bedrooms, not 2 bedrooms, not 4, not 5, but 3 bedrooms, average American. Let's go ahead, people with kids. Let's go to your phone calls, 1-800-259-9031. Randy has got a bunch of different websites for his radio show and other things he does and dealing with regular government corruption, but mortgagecrimes.com is the main site if you want to contact him and then get more information, mortgagecrimes.com. Let's go ahead and go to George in Connecticut. You're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Randy. I have a question. It looks like the banks are trying to do an end run by either using shell companies and buying back the mortgages so that the taxpayer gets stuck with the depreciation and has to write that off, and then they buy back and sell it at a depreciation rate. But the other thing is they're also going in and buying tax certificates. Now, I was thinking of helping a lot of people out, or going buy the tax certificates and selling back to them so they could wipe everything clean. But the banks are also going into that too. So, I mean, it looks like the banks are trying to commit fraud on several levels by sticking the taxpayer with the depreciation.
Oh, no, that's admitted by Timberwolf and Goldman Sachs, that they bundle the goodies, the good mortgages for themselves, and then sell retirement funds, police funds, governments, the cruds. You're absolutely right.
So they steal our equity on the front end. On the back end, they steal our retirement funds, and in the middle, they steal all our tax money.
Yeah, they make us bail it out, and then they don't even use it for what they said. Anything else, George?
No, I just say, how do you stop them? Is there a way to stop them from committing another fraud by buying up all the tax certificates and then buying them from a shell company and basically defrauding us one more time out of the same deal?
Can't answer that one. That's one I haven't researched yet.
But you can see, I mean, we have the emails and the documents, and major publications like McClatchy have detailed it, and so has Congress. They set this thing up. I mean, this was set up.
That's in me looking at this. All of these pieces, I have this graph, if you can go to that one. What they're doing is very complex. All of these mechanizations, before securitizations, you wouldn't have found any of that in there. You'd have found the lender,
Before the end of Glass-Steagall that made all this a felony, because we'd been through this before, before that, none of this was going on. Great points, George. We're going to go to Mark and others in a minute, but tell us about this chart, securitization flow chart.
Yeah, this shows how the security instrument moves, how the money moves, how the documents move. The primary importance of this one is how complex it is. Attorneys, they don't have time to do the research. We have about $100,000 invested in research on this.
And you're now all over the country advising law firms. I mean, you're meeting with lawyers.
Yes, because they don't have time to do all of this. I'm also building a litigation engine, a computer program that never forgets any of this.
Okay, so go over this graph. Where do I start here?
So we start with it's hard to tell from the graph because it starts with the loan broker. The loan broker brings a real estate agent will bring you to a broker. The broker will find you a mortgage company to write your note. Well, what you don't know is he always finds the same one because he's in bed with him. And the loan broker pays the agents who bring them the note extra fees. According to the HUD-1 settlement, according to the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, the commission for bringing in a loan can be no more than 1% of the principal, but they never come away with less than 2 or 3%. And they pay them that under the table to bring them loans that are more expensive. They pay the agents to breach their fiduciary duty to the borrower and upsell the note, convince him that he only qualifies for a much more expensive loan product than he actually does. The very first item there, the mortgage company, he appears to be a mortgage company, but he's really not.
That's this?
That's that. He only appears to be because way down at the back, the last one on the top, the investor who buys from, well, this whole process, in order for the security instrument to get to the final investor, it has to go through 4 steps. The aggregator, the special purpose vehicle, that's where the loans are put together. It appears from our research that they are actually the owners of the mortgage company. So it appears as though the mortgage company sells the note to the aggregator when, in fact, they're one and the same company. They've all set this up so they can run through these different mechanisms.
And then they gave the word, hey, realtors, local loan originators, everybody's allowed to do this. Tell people to lie to originate the fraud down at the bottom when the person gets the loan.
Yeah, they create the mortgage company that does the fraud, then they bankrupt the mortgage company, so he appears to disappear.
Continual live coverage tomorrow of all the election fraud. And I've told Steve Watson, Paul Watson, Aaron Dykes, Kurt Nemo full-time just to cover all the voting machine fraud nationwide, the troops not getting their ballots, people being indicted all over Florida, you name it, for election fraud. I mean, the good news is this corruption's been here for a long time, but now it's coming up to the surface. And you know, a few dozen law firms and a few hundred pro se litigants have brought the mortgage fraud to its knees. What will happen as more people get educated? And it doesn't mean you're going to win every time, but you know by resisting, you got a better shot at it. And better systems and ideas are being developed through the law to defeat these people. And you can find out more at mortgagecrimes.com with what Randy Kelton's doing. Just like earlier, I had the ICE legal on who's been beating them and having big effect, one of the first to successfully do it in the last 3-4 years. We had them on. We're going to have more people on because I want to help people. That's our mission. Just like read the insert on a flu shot. Says it can brain damage you, sterilize you. You know, I feel good at night warning people about that, and it all came out we were right last year. Or sodium fluoride gives you, can give you cancer. Filter your water. Or they're after our Second Amendment. Here's the legislation. Or they're trying to pass amnesty. Here's the legislation. We're just here to alert you that, hey, you know, here's the University of Exeter, big report, research proves gender-bending chemicals like bisphenol A affecting reproduction, feminizing boys, hyper-feminizing women, causing cancer. You know, we're just here warning you, telling you what's going on. Kind of like you're driving down the road and 70 miles an hour through the country, and you see a sign saying 20-mile-an-hour turn. If you don't slow down, folks, you're going to go flying right off the edge. And, you know, here's the deal. We're all in this together. When you warn your neighbors, when you warn your friends and family, when you buy my books and videos and support us and get tools like Fall the Republic, an invisible empire that show people who really runs things, we're identifying the crooks so that as things get worse and worse as they've planned, they won't be able to pose as our saviors and get even more power. They're going to go to prison. And look how far we've come passing a bill this year to audit the Fed. Sure, they butchered it in the Senate. But we've gone from Ron Paul with no co-sponsors 15 years ago to passing bills. Now the globalists are identified as the criminals. As Zbigniew Brzezinski admitted 4 months ago, humanity is awake and staring at them. We're identifying the bad guy. And as G.I. Joe says, knowing the bad guy is half the battle. That's why they told us Homeland Security was for guys with turbans on their heads. Now they admit it's for us, because they're the bad guys staging the terror attacks as a pretext to come after us. And they're coming after us militarily, economically, psychologically, spiritually, medically, physically. And this is one big area, financially. Because money is a symbol of energy, and that's how they buy up the whole world for nothing out of their fraud, as Thomas Jefferson said. And we're waking up homeless on the continent our forefathers conquered. Now, going back to Randy Kelton, I want to get to these calls as quickly as possible. I just talked to, who's up first here of all these callers? All right, Mark and Pia. We're going to move quick now. Mark, go ahead.
I commend you, Mr. Kelton, for all you're doing. I listened to you last week. You got me on the edge of my seat. The challenge here to me is that the battle that's before us is a temporary battle. It's a significant battle, but my concern is what's on the other side of this. This is the foundational aspect of who we are as a free people, the property rights of an individual. And after they come after the property, what are they going to come after next? Us as individuals. And so, to me, this whole thing is it's their party, it's their casino, like Max Kaiser says, and it's all based upon the UCC and all of that. So we're dealing in their arena. So on the other side of this, we have to wait. To me, we have to wake up and get to the core issue of what real property rights are, what it really means to be free. So this is just to me, it's a distraction, and they're just playing a game with us and stressing us out and keeping
all
us
right.
distracted.
Hey, listen, Mark, I appreciate your call. We got to move on. You know, all the Patriot folks with the UPC stuff that I've been seeing for 15 years has rendered almost no success. This is rendering serious success, charging them with fraud because they've engaged in it. This is not an exercise in futility. It's having a big effect. And I never understand why, when we're up here with real solutions, people say, well, it's their party, it's their system. Yes, it's their fraudulent system, and we're here exposing it. Just exposing their fraud, again, is half the equation.
Okay. And I'm glad you mentioned that point, because, frankly, I'm not here primarily for foreclosure issues. Alex knows my primary focus. It's grand juries. I've been helping people with due process issues. And I tell them, the worst one, the key to all of this is the judge. Go in there and kick that judge in his behind. And they say, I'm not going to do that. I can go to jail. But when I got someone with a foreclosure issue where they're stealing his house and everything he owns, but his liberty's not at risk, and I say, that dirty, rotten scoundrel judge is breaking the law. You need to go down and file complaints with him.
That's what you mean by kicking him in the butt.
Yes. You use the grand jury against him. I just did a seminar in Las Vegas of people who help other people. And they weren't so interested in hearing about the foreclosure issue. They already knew about it. They want to know how to go after the judges. We get people going after the judges, we will change everything.
And people don't do it because they say they're invincible. They're not invincible.
They're actually the weakest link. I have stood in court a number of times and said to the bailiff, did you hear that, Mr. Bailiff? Drag that judge down off that bench. I have never once had a judge threaten me with contempt for doing that to him. He knew. He's in deep water here. The judges know they're the weakest link. The last thing they want you to know is how vulnerable they are. And with these foreclosure issues, I can get people to realize...
Well, that's like the baby they took in New Hampshire, putting a fake criminal record in it for somebody else and everything. And because there was political pressure, when they got up there before the judge said, there's not enough evidence, release the baby. But see, they had the will to fight. Most people just roll over.
Exactly. And this is the key.
And look, they can't stop us all. Let's go to another caller. Mark, I understand, part of your point, but the rest of it is this is having an effect. People are staying in their houses. I mean, I don't know what else you want. I mean, this is a real remedy. Let's talk to Shannon in Mississippi. Thanks for holding.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Got a question for Mr. Randy. Mr. Randy, I know you probably heard about it, but my mom and my real dad got a divorce, and then she married a Air Force veteran in the Air Force for 28 years. Well, he died, and they gave her a silver certificate one-time buyer's plan on a house. Well, my mom, she went and bought a house, like an acre of land, and back in the 2002, she bought it, and it was like $140,000. Okay, now my mom has died, and under that silver certificate through the military, are there any insurance if they come and try to take that house because we missed one payment on it? Are there any insurance we could take to the grand jury to say, hey, no, you can't do this? That's my question.
I'm not familiar with the silver certificate. Is that some type of guarantee against foreclosure?
Is that like some kind of...
Well, it was a one-time buyer's plan understood from my mom before she died through the United States Air Force, saying that they would give her the money or credit her a certain amount. I believe it was up to $150,000. She bought the house for like $140,000, and now I'm kind of scared and worried that through the United States Air Force and the government, they could come in and just swipe it out from under the family. So
has anybody? Did she have did you have a clear title to it, or did you have a mortgage?
I wanted to ask you. The only thing that was not at the paper signing or anything that I could see was a clear title or deed. How would I go about locating?
Is there a mortgage on the property?
Yes, they are.